feel about what you've gotten accomplished in the week of practice so far?
Yeah, these bowl practices are so valuable for us as a young team, young defense, guys that you see a year from now when we walk out on the field against Wisconsin are going to take a more vital role in our defense. And so to see these young guys get the experience reps that they're getting right now, to me, it's invaluable. I mean, when you get another really spring ball that kind of closes the gap between the last game of your regular season with the first practice in spring, there's just a lot more carryover, and then spring ends up being a lot cleaner because of that too. So it's kind of a compound positive thing that happens from these bowl practices.
How much does that enter your kind of thought process as a coach, just the idea of getting these guys prepped for next season while also getting them ready for Tennessee at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's dual. As you get closer to the game, obviously you focus more on Tennessee. What we are trying to do is we're trying to get these first six practices were much more spring ball-like in terms of the flow of them, what we're trying to get accomplished, the individual time, all those kinds of things. They're very focused inward on us, as opposed to when we get into moving forward, we'll try to get basically a week's worth or a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday worth of practice. These next, on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we'll use that like a game week preparation like we would in a normal week, and then we'll do the whole thing over once we get to the bowl site. So that's pretty valuable. That's really more than we get even in a bye week. So very, very focused on Tennessee for basically 2 whole weeks when you think about it from a practice perspective.
Is this almost the way how the rich get richer in college football, that when you make the bowl, you get the extra practices, but when you get the extra practices, you're better the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a great term. You know, I mean, it really is a rich get richer mentality when you get these extra bowl sites because of the things that we just talked out before. I mean, you want to keep the momentum going from what you've already done and what you've already built off of. And so the longer that you stay away from the game when you're out there on the field, right, the rustier you're going to get, especially for these young guys who every single rep is so critical for them. So for us, I mean, this was gold for our defense. It really is.
It was still pretty early on, but preparing for Tennessee, how do you go about preparing when their best receiver is out for the first half and he comes in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you love to compete, you love to go against the best. I'm not complaining that he's out for the first half, but he's a very special football player, and I would imagine they're going to maximize his ability, any rep and chance that they get in the second half. Not to say that they don't have a lot of other weapons that they can get the ball to. I will say this is a Tennessee team that obviously 7-5. I understand the SEC, and spent a lot of time in that and grew up in the SEC. There really should be a 9-win SEC team if you look at them. They had some early woes against Georgia State and BYU early in the season, and then the last half of the season they're playing much higher than even what their record reflects. So I think as you look at them, I think their offensive line, they're young, but they're so physical. They're getting better up front. Their receivers on the outside, obviously 15 does a great job, but they've got 2 other guys that I think are very dynamic at the point of attack and have a nice inside run game and some plays that they can make downfield. So got a work cut out for us. They're a very good offense.
It's your first game as a coordinator in a bowl game. Have you relied on some elders to help get you prepared for it?
Yeah, certainly. This is my as a coach, as a player, coach, and coach's son. So this will be my 21st bowl game. So this is my second time calling a bowl game. But the first time I was getting ready for the triple option against Air Force, so a little bit different, feel and mentality. These practices were, it's ground and pound. The players didn't, when you're getting ready for a triple option team, it's a very different deal. So this is good. This is my comfort zone. This is what I grew up doing, and so it feels very normal from a, what our life is. Being around with the family and all that stuff. But from a preparation standpoint, I've seen it so many times of how you have to maximize your time here and then what you have to do in the days leading up to the game to get ready when I don't want to say there's outside, interferences or whatever, but there's a lot going on in a bowl game. And so at the end, you kind of got to focus in and get ready to call that thing.
Health-wise, feeling good on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're in pretty good shape. I mean, I thought I thought Penn State, as we were leading into the Penn State game, I thought we looked as fast as we had looked all season long. And then against Michigan and Purdue, I thought we did not play with the same speed and tempo that we had shown. I think, obviously the season, you wear down all those kinds of things. We played a lot of players. I think we did some things that are better, and that's a credit to what Dave Ballou and Matt Ray and those guys are doing in the weight room. But we still, these young bodies, they got to feel just the force of a long season. I think this time next year they'll understand that better.
Do you think the extra time between now and the bowl game helps get back that speed that you're feeling with getting into Penn State?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, rest is rest, right? So for them being able to come back, just out here in practice, we look so much faster, you know what I mean? And obviously they're excited because they want to get better. They're also excited about the bowl opportunity, and they recognize, I think the one thing that this group does have a sense of urgency defensively. They understand how young they are and how every rep really does matter, and it counts, and it's going to improve us not just in this bowl game, but when we take the field in 2020 as well. And so for us, that urgency that everybody feels on that field is going to pay major dividends on down the line.
You talked about the uniqueness of preparing for Air Force in your first bowl game.
Yeah.
But I guess with that experience, what did you learn? What do you think you did well, did poorly in that bowl game, and how do you apply that to now?
It's interesting because I talked to those guys. We actually had a really good plan against, I think my background, or excuse me, rather my dad's background being Paul Johnson's defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech had a lot to do with that. When I was at Ole Miss, we played those guys. We played Georgia Tech in a bowl game, and so got ready for it. I think every defensive coordinator should to learn the fundamentals of the game and the discipline that you have to take on a triple option team. I would not be the same coach that I am today. Even though we don't play triple option teams, I wouldn't be the same coach if I didn't have those experiences of understanding triple option discipline defensively. And so for me, that was an awesome learning experience. We did a good job in against them in the run game. I think that was one of their lowest totals that they had been held. I think it was like still 254 yards, but you come off the field, you're like, yeah, we held them to 254. So, but that's what it is. So it's a great experience for any D coordinator.
The quality of the opposition, obviously, these last three games was something there, but you guys did kind of stagger to the finish defensively a little bit. How important is it to sort of make a statement in this bowl game and kind of end the year on a little bit better note?
Yeah, I thought we played. I thought we did some really good things. Obviously, against Penn State, I thought we played really well on first and second down. A couple critical third downs that we just didn't get off the field, particularly at the end there. that last drive. From that standpoint, same deal with Michigan. There were so many good things. The one-on-one matchups on the outside, I thought I thought we looked, slow in some of those last two games. And I didn't think that we maximized our ability from that standpoint. So for us, finishing, we talk about bowl. These bowl preparations are so much about momentum. And I think that to your point right there is you want to finish with a lot of momentum carrying on in the off season, and then again that pushes you into spring, summer, and then all of a sudden here we are. We're getting ready for Wisconsin and Madison.
Coach Allen said on Wednesday that Ty's going to get a few practices with that mid-year Ty-wise.
Yeah.
As his position coach in DC, how much you look forward to getting? I know he's not going to do everything, but then how valuable just for a few days is this going to be for his development?
We were gonna get him in. There's a few more hoops that we had to jump through, and so I don't think we're gonna make that happen. He's gonna come out, and I think maybe spend some time, be around and all that kind of stuff. But certainly, just those guys being around. What is exciting is some of the mid-year guys that are coming in and the experience that they will get moving into next season. It's hard for a freshman to come in and play that did not get that experience in the spring. Although we've had some guys that have done that, and you think of Tywone Mullen right now, he didn't get to go through spring ball, but at the same time, to have this many mid-year guys that we're going to be coming in is certainly exciting for our program.
Can you talk about what it means to the staff for Kalen to stick around through this bowl game and help finish this deal here?
Yeah, other than the fact that we just got to be around him for another 3 weeks, So he's a great play caller, I'll say that. He's, obviously just the things that he's done this season, the respect that I have for him as a person, I don't think that's that to me is he's just such a great person to be around, and the players and truly the experience that we had. We were joking the other day, about where we were a year ago, both being on the phone, me trying to do everything I could to convince him to get here, and certainly that worked out, and it also worked out for him on the other deal. Just from a professional standpoint, the way that he has maneuvered this offense through our season, I think has been phenomenal. So I think everybody in the building is excited that he's going to be with us during this bowl game.
You said the defense understands that they're young. What does that kind of look like?
Yeah.
How
How do you know you're young?
Yeah, how do you know the players know they're young, I guess?
Oh, yeah, because I say, hey, you're a freshman, you're a sophomore, you got to keep growing and maturing and get better. I mean, I don't mean to make light of what your question is, but I do think they recognize the inexperience. You know what I mean? That there are things out there on the field that they realize, hey, if I had seen this before, or if I had known this, or really just things that they didn't see at the beginning of the season that they recognize towards the end of the season, you start realizing, hey, there's growth and maturity that comes from just experience on a football field. And so for our guys, they recognize the importance of that.
Talk about being on the phone with Coach DeBoer trying to convince him to come to Indy.
Yeah.
What was your pitch?
Well, I think a lot of it was when you get an opportunity. Obviously he did a phenomenal job. They had just coming off of a 12-win season, so he was coming off of a high from Fresno State. Had done a good. I think that was the most wins that they had ever had in program's history. And so, I think my deal was when you come into the Big Ten, it's very similar to my recruiting pitch with the players. The exposure that gives you, right, on a more national stage, right, is going to attract more people to what you're doing. So obviously, I would have liked that he had stayed here a little bit longer, but at the same time, when the opportunity comes, he maximized this opportunity here and put him in great position to certainly go back.